You're listening to The Trade Gods.
What's going on, Player Profiler Nation? It's the newest episode of Trade Gods. Matter of fact, this is Season 3, Episode 1, the season premiere. Jason Allwine, Matty, Kiwoom, my fellow Trade God brethren. How you doing?
Man, I am so happy to be back. Love talking trades, and especially love talking off-season trades. The Super Bowl is officially behind us, and now we get to look towards the draft, towards the combine, towards the summer lull period. It's going to be great. I'm excited. Season 3 of Trade Gods.
Season 3. It's crazy. I even texted you before the show. I was like, hey, is this the premiere of Season 3? You're like, holy cannoli, it is. I said, yeah. Oh, dang. All right, let's rock and roll. We're going to get it going. The offseason, some of you guys, if you're not a Dynasty degen, like, myself and Jason, you might be saying to yourself, why do I need the Trade Gods in the offseason? There are pockets of value, whether they be spikes or plummets, that you can absolutely take advantage of. And if you are in more of a casual Dynasty league, this is how you can just assert your dominance, which is dominating what we call Player Profiler, the Dynasty in season. Today, we're talking buys. But before we get into that, Jason, give me your 30-second to a minute quick Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl. You got to talk about it. So give me a quick synopsis on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. I had buffalo chicken dip, so that's always a win.
That's great. That's great.
Can never complain. Had some of that. Had some queso, and then had some cookies. There was no, entree, but doesn't matter. Buffalo chicken dip is an entree in my eyes.
Quantity makes everything on Super Bowl Sunday an entree.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had probably too much buffalo chicken dip. But, we'll see. Who cares? It's the Super
You were
Bowl.
able to get up this morning and do wake and take. So you did that.
Exactly. But it was honestly a good game. I was hoping it would end up being a bit higher scoring. Didn't expect it to, but was hoping. And of course, the Chiefs win it. It felt like the 49ers year all season, but just of course, Patrick Mahomes is just too great. Andy Reid is just too great. Steve Spagnuolo is way too good of a coordinator. And the only thing that really I ended up missing in this game was Travis Kelce not proposing to Taylor Swift. Really, really wanted that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it looked like it was going to be on the table. When you looked at the odds, I think what was only at one point, it was like minus 250 or something or plus 250. You're like, really? Seems like they know something. But anyway, the game was great. Yeah. I was the Travis Kelce touchdown away. If he had driven the ball forward into the end zone as opposed to just getting that first down in overtime, it was at the end of the fourth. However, I think, no, that was the fourth, right? But anyhow, if he had gotten in the end zone, I would have cashed nice because I would have gotten the anytime touchdown Chiefs money line under would have hit for me, parlay, and then that would have for sure made Travis Kelce the MVP, which would have been a nice little payout. So I did not do super well. My wife and I got together. We made some bets together. It was fun, and it made the day it made the game just having a little extra sweat to it. But great game. You and I are both Patriots fans, so we speak Dynasty. That might be the most pretentious thing I've ever said, but I don't care. We do. We know what it looks like. They are a dynasty. Unequivocally, they are a dynasty. And what defines you as being that type of dynasty is obviously the number of wins. That's the obvious. But winning in seasons where you were written off is a sign of the Patriots. That's what the Pats did on a number of occasions when it was like, this team's done. Brady's over with. They win. And then just coming back from 10 points. And Kyle Shanahan, great coach. Something about his offense is just peter out when you need him to get going. And now he has the, 3 double-digit Super Bowl losses he's been on the coaching staff of. And it's rough for them. They'll be back, though. They're a good football team. But we are now going to dive into our buys for this part of the season. We're going to do one. What are we going to do, Jason? We're going to do positions here. So we got one each.
Right. So 8 total buys.
Yes. 8 total buys. And quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. So we'll get right into that. So stick around for some buys in the Dynasty in season.
It's time to buy and sell.
I love that graphic so much. I know we're not talking cells, but I still want to drop it because that's how much I love it. So, Jason, quarterback. Okay. You're looking at the Dynasty in season. NFL season is now all done. We are all looking towards 2024 and beyond. But what is a quarterback right now that you feel is a nice buy for Dynasty gamers?
Anthony Richardson is a quarterback you need to be buying in Dynasty right now. And I will go ahead and say that we are talking about a window here, which I think it starts right now. And I think it closes maybe about a week or two after the draft. From that point on, he will not be obtainable anymore. We're right now looking at him at the QB7 in Dynasty, which I think is reasonable. And I think we could see a slight drop over the next few weeks. As you know, we get excited about the rookie quarterback class coming in, just the draft in general, and all these new shiny toys. That's going to hurt the old new shiny toy, which was Anthony Richardson. And also on top of that, we have the injuries, of course, the injury concerns. He only played in 2.5 games really last season. So just all of those things combined has made Anthony Richardson obtainable in Dynasty. And we've talked about a lot on Trade Gods. Just because a player is obtainable and expensive doesn't mean that it's not a buy window. Sure, he's going to cost you a lot of money, but he's never attainable. Like, you're not going to be able to get Anthony Richardson probably ever again. So I would say strike now while you can and don't wait too long to do it. I do see the argument like, okay, you know, Caleb Williams gets drafted high, Drake May gets drafted high, Jaden Daniels gets drafted high, and then maybe some other first-round quarterbacks might, you know, help wear some more shine off Anthony Richardson. But we're talking about a quarterback who in his only 2 full games, in week 1, his first career start, finished as QB4 with 21.9 fantasy points. In his second game, full game, in week 4, he finished as the QB2 with 29.6 points. In week 2, he scored 17.7 points in a half. He's just incredibly explosive. He has legitimate quarterback 1 overall upside. And when a player is this talented, you've got to buy them while you can. Price tag be damned. Get Anthony Richardson and laugh your way to the bank.
Ha 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 ha. I like it. I like it.
That's pretty good.
What I am going to say about Anthony Richardson in terms of the market, you look at Keep Trade Cut right now, quarterback 12, that's up 1 spot. And that's not that's a lull. And I think that kind of speaks to your point that the buy window is now open, because sometimes it could be a lull because guys, you know, players that have, you know, have already spiked or have immense value in and of itself. Sometimes it's just a matter of can it just stay at a point where I can get it done. So maybe the market is saying it's a buy window. I want to ask you this though. 1 year in the league, already an injury, his talent is athleticism. Does that worry you at all? And let's just say, let's make it a 2-parter. What are you willing to trade for Anthony Richardson? And the follow-up to that is how much more, you know, if that's your first initial offer, how much more are you willing to go given the injury history?
And I think that's what kind of makes him obtainable is those question marks. I mean, the guy was not just injured. He was super injured, and it was multiple different injuries that kept plaguing him. So it wasn't even like, oh, he has a knee issue or a shoulder issue. It's he has an injury issue. That's a legitimate concern. And that comes from his play style. He's an aggressive football player and he's huge. So it just leads to more injuries when you play like that, when you have that size. But I just hope that this season, sitting back, realizing how much it sucks to get injured in the NFL, especially when you're playing well, and then having your eyes on Gardner Minshew, who plays a safer football game for a full season, watching his team almost make the playoffs without him, I really hope he could have learned to that, you know, he needs to not get injured. Obviously, knowing not to get injured isn't going to do a lot, but I guarantee he's at least changing his play style a little bit next season. And I'm sure Shane Steichen is coming up with plays to keep him safe. But to answer your question, am I concerned? A little bit, but not enough to not want to buy this type of talent. Could he get injured again? Yes. But the points he's going to score me while he's not injured are just unbelievable. And that's what fantasy football is about at the end of the day. I mean, think about it this way. Say he gets injured week 1, but then gets to come back for the fantasy football playoffs and scores all these points. Like, would you even care if he gave up 3 first-round picks and he won you your championship? Like, that's kind of where I'm at here. I'm willing to still sell the farm to get Anthony Richardson. I would love to use a mid-range to low-range quarterback to upgrade into him. that's where I would start, is any of my quarterbacks that I want to get rid of, use them to upgrade. I think some great options that are probably a bit more expensive right now that you could probably use to float for some reason still, Deshaun Watson. You could maybe use like a Bryce Young to get up there, although that's probably not the right answer. Baker Mayfield, starting with him and seeing what you could add to him would be a big one. Kirk Cousins, even Matthew Stafford, like some of these riskier older guys, I think would be a fantastic starting point. You add a first or even 2 firsts to that, you're really cooking. Add a good skill player to that, maybe instead of the picks, you're cooking. But I think that there's some packages out there that'll get it done at a reasonable price, and you're just going to get an otherworldly athlete. You could fill the holes later.
Okay, so you're saying that you're willing to go into negotiations, which I think is important. People that are tuning in, sometimes it's a matter of, should I go into the water? How deep into the water should I go with these negotiations? You're saying get on that surfboard, baby, and get in that ocean because it's going to be worth it in the end. And I am saying here to buy Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, again, had a fantastic season. QB2 on a points per game basis. So now over the last 3 seasons, he's been a top 6 quarterback. But if you look at keep trade cut, he's actually down to QB6. Quarterbacks like Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud have all leapfrogged. And I don't know why. I get it that people are salty that they did not win a Super Bowl and they did not play well at the end. But for fantasy, what do we care? He's going to be in Philadelphia. He's going to have those weapons. Dallas Goedert will be that much more healthy. There should be no reason. They have 3 picks in the top 2 rounds, which, if one of those is a luxury receiver or a running back or what have you, that only helps Jalen Hurts. Between the situation, between the production, and the fact that he's still not even 26 years old, he is a screaming buy. And I would go about this 2 ways. I would be willing to, approach the team builder in a more traditional buy sense where I take, my 106, my 107, and move up. I would, if I had the 101, see, this is a kind of a convoluted take here, but I'm going to dive right in. If I had the 101, I would be okay moving that for Jalen Hurts, but I would have to finagle the back end here. I'd have to get some more because if I need a receiver, Marvin Harrison's very much a play 101. So let me just say this. Marvin Harrison's off the board. I would be willing to trade Drake May or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels for Jalen Hurts and hopefully take something else. But if not, I'll take it straight up because I just think he's still in the prime of his year. We know his situation. But the other way, if I had a CJ Stroud, I'd look to see if, hey, CJ Stroud, give me Hurts and then give me a pick. You can have him. That's how much I still believe in Jalen Hurts because he hasn't done anything to show me otherwise. And we're talking about a down year, and he's QB2 on a points per game basis, right around 22 points per game. Right. So I'm thinking to buy. There's sometimes these opportunities to buy quarterbacks, they don't come up often. So you're saying Anthony Richardson, I'm saying Jalen Hurts. Anything you want to add on Hurts before we move to the next position?
I am a Hurts believer, and I do love the Kellen Moore hire. I think that's going to help him as a passer, especially. The big concern here is, let me start. I'm not concerned about this, but there are plenty of people concerned about 28% of Jalen Hurts' fantasy points last season came from the tush-push touchdowns. That is a lot of points coming from one play that some think will get removed or banned next season. I don't think they'll do that. And even if it is, Jalen Hurts still has an incredible rushing floor. Maybe not as many rushing touchdowns, but he's going to make up for it in a different way. So while that is a concern, like you said, try to buy Jalen Hurts because people are going to still point to the tush push and say, oh, well, he scored over a quarter of his points from this one play. We don't even know if that's going to be allowed next season. That's an opportunity. And that's why we talk about the offseason presenting so many opportunities. It's not just a good performance in the week. It's a random rumor that some dude on Twitter started, and it just gets people talking. And
sometimes you can't exploit those booms of rumors.
Right.
Everyone sells that. Actually, when we get to another position, I'm going to kind of talk about this a little bit. So let's put a pin in that. And we're actually going to go ahead and hear about the Dynasty Dominator, something that you need to have so that you can, dominate your Dynasty leagues.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
Trade Gods Season 3, Episode 1, Matty, Kiwoom, Jason, Allwine. We are talking about buys in Dynasty right now. We're going position by position next. Let's go to tight end. And I'll get it kicked off, Jason, because it's pretty simple. I think you should buy Travis Kelce. If you fancy yourself a contender in 2024, buy Travis Kelce. Yes, he is 34 years old and had his worst year of his career, but you're still talking about a tight end that in 15 games had 93 receptions, 16 yards short of 1,000, and 5 touchdowns, just 5 touchdowns. His air yards was down, but again, he played in two less games this year than he had in the past. But again, tight end 1 on a points per game basis, right around 15 points. Am I ranking him as my number 1 tight end in Dynasty? No, because I do think Laporta, I love McBride. These guys are younger and they're about to ascend. But if I don't have any of those guys, I'm absolutely trying to buy Travis Kelce because you're going to have a chance at a difference maker and not have to pay difference maker prices, in my opinion. Keep Trade Cut has him outside of the top 8 at tight end 8 right now. And that's probably coming off the helium of a great playoff run. That'll settle, but he said he's back. Andy Reid's going to be back, and they're going to get weapons, so defenses are not going to just key in on him like they were able to. And I think he was dealing with an injury. It's just sometimes, just like the quarterbacks, these opportunities arise to acquire difference makers in fantasy. He is a difference maker. I'm not giving up around 1 in this year's draft, but that's really more of a reflection of this year's draft. But around 2, and let me say, how about just David Njoku in round 3? David Njoku in round 2. Those are the moves I'm trying to make. David Njoku was good down the stretch, but it was the tight end runway. It was absolutely paved perfectly for him to ball out. And I don't think I would rather. I know for a fact I would not rather have Njoku over Kelce going into next year. One thing that I've noticed, we started doing some startup mocks. And I know this is a trade show, but it is the season.
Right.
I've really liked waiting to get Kelce and going 2 tight ends in my first 6 picks or whatever it was, getting a one in one of them, I got Brock Bowers and Travis Kelce. So it's like, yes, I got my tight end now. And I like that strategy. It kind of allows you to, because the early round tight ends now are the young ones. You grab one of those, you get Kelce. All of a sudden, now the young guy performing in year 2 or year 3 there's less pressure. And I say all that to say, get Travis Kelce, even if you have a Sam Laporta, a Trey McBride on your roster, still try to buy in to a difference maker that will have flex appeal in most formats. And also your tight end premium leagues, this guy could be a league winner like he has been his entire freaking career.
Yeah, I think that's a good buy, especially in Dynasty. I mean, it's easy to get these aging players at least compared to what they produce for the season. I will say, you already mentioned it, but just to hammer it home, wait a couple weeks, let the Super Bowl hype die down just a little bit. But then, totally go acquire this guy, as he's still an unbelievable player at one of the shallowest positions in fantasy football, even as it is getting deeper. He's still the king here. And still, I think at this point, as big of a Patriots fan as we are, I really do think he's probably the greatest tight end. He's
certainly the most prolific in terms of his statistical output, and that's how political and on the fence I will say about that, given my current status of a fan of both of the players. But I think that there's also some insurance in terms of your roster build because of the position. If you take a shot on him and he does fall off a cliff and he stinks, well, then you're just in the thick of probably most of your league. And you're playing the streamer game. You're trying to buy something else. So I just think that at this specific position, you have a little bit of leeway because it's not like when you take a big swing on a running back. You take a bunch of assets. You grab a Breece Hall. Breece Hall gets hurt. You're like, oh shit, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, your competitors have the running backs. So now your tight end. If you lose Kelce, the what it costs or what it takes to get back into it at that position doesn't take as much investment as the others.
Definitely. Well, and I would also say just the way that the Chiefs kind of went about the regular season last year would probably be what they do next year, right? They kind of coast through, try to keep Travis Kelce healthy for the playoffs, and go from there. So we might not see massive output or ceiling from Travis Kelce ever again, but we'll certainly see that solid floor that we've come to know and love. And he'll probably remain healthy, especially if they do bring in some more weapons. Like he's not going to be the focal point of defenses, nor really the offense, but he's still going to be scoring touchdowns. He's still going to be getting chunk plays, and he's still going to be one of Patrick Mahomes' favorite targets. So great buy. Mine is, of course, if you've ever tuned in to Gods or Wake and Take or my personal Twitter at JFootballWine, you know that I will not quit Kyle Pitts. I just can't do it. And we have this wonderful, perfect offseason ribbon added to why it's a buy window for Kyle Pitts. Not only has he fallen in dynasty ranks, not only has he been massively disappointing, but for some reason, Raheem Morris has decided to start his tenure as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, not just mentioning his excitement to coach Bijan Robinson, not just mentioning his excitement to coach Drake London, but completely omitting Kyle Pitts' name in that interview. And a lot of people are latching on to that, saying, Raheem Morris has not looking to use Kyle Pitts. He's excited to use Bijan Robinson and Drake London, and Kyle Pitts wasn't talked about. That's presented an opportunity, as if owners weren't already nervous enough about rostering Kyle Pitts with all the disappointment. Now the new head coach won't even mention him as one of the best tools on the offense, but he still is and will be. The Falcons, we all know, are going to be upgrading their quarterback position this offseason, whether it be in the draft or free agency or trade or Desmond Ridder becoming randomly good. There's going to be better quarterback play on this team next season, no matter what. And believe it or not, he's 23.3. So just a couple of months older than Sam Laporta and younger than Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid, despite already having 3 seasons now in the league under his belt. If we just take a second, press the pause button, and remember that everyone says that the tight end position is the hardest to get acclimated to and just take some time, then you'll realize that Kyle Pitts going into year 4 is exactly what we should be looking for. He's fallen to tight end 8, tight end 7 in dynasty rankings. He's gone so far. He's still one of the most athletic tight ends. He's still a former top 5 pick, and he still led the league in numerous metrics last season. Air yards, average depth of target, and even unrealized air yards, which highlights how good upgraded quarterback play will be, just to name a few. He's going to be fantastic next season. He's going to turn things around for his career. Buy Kyle Pitts while you can.
If you're in a league that has their market has shown a Kyle Pitts spike in value due to the coaching change, are you still willing to swim in those waters?
Yes. You saw what I paid. You're asking the wrong guy. You saw what I gave up to get Kyle Pitts.
That's right. That's right. You have, and I will always be a Kyle Pitts believer. I don't think he's quite in the truther category yet. I think if he has a stinker this year, you're going to have to be a truther.
I think he's reached truther status. I think he has.
Really? Okay.
Well.
Okay. I get it. I still think he's too young to be truther, but. And he's a 4th overall pick. No, you're not a truther if you still believe in a year 3 breakout or year 4 breakout for pick Pitts. I don't think you're a truther yet. Not yet.
I think I'm there. I think it's truther status. I really do. I think Kyle Pitts has reached it.
That does happen. Now let's move on to wide receiver. Who is your buy at wide receiver, Jason?
We talk about not giving up on players, and it's Jamison Williams. I will not give up on J-Mo. I just think that he's shown everything that he should show. Sure, he hasn't gotten massive volume. He's had production, though. He's been really efficient. He just hasn't got a ton of volume. But that just is going to... No, he's not hated by his coach. No, Dan Campbell doesn't hate him, and that's why he's buyable. I was offered a 3rd-round pick for Jamison Williams, and I just think that that perfectly encapsulates how far he's fallen. Because as a Jamison Williams rosterer, I would want at least 2 first-round picks for Jamison Williams. That's my starting point. 2 first-round picks.
What?
I firmly believe in this guy, and he's all the way down at wide receiver 56 right now. Matty Kiwoom, he is surrounded by these names: Xavier Legette, Marquise Brown, Rashid Shaheed, and Marvin Mims. You cannot tell me, you can tell me, and you will tell me that you'd rather have those players over Jamison Williams, but I would not. I would rather have Jamison Williams over 3 Rashid Shaheeds at this point, unless they're special team scoring, whatever. But either way, like Jamison Williams, he's that guy. And I think that we should just, like Kyle Pitts, just press the pause button for a second. He was injured his rookie season, suspended his second season. He hasn't had true time to get acclimated, but as the season went on, he got more and more acclimated. It started with him demonstrating how good of a run blocker he is. If you watch Lions film, you will always see Jamison Williams out there running into contact as a run blocker, despite his small frame. He is used in the run game. We saw an amazing rushing touchdown against the 49ers in the playoffs, and we saw it in the season. We even saw it his rookie year. And now we're starting to see that he's a really good route runner, but just hasn't been able to display it enough. But he does some incredible moves. I can remember specifically one time he was running down the sideline, hit the nice little backwards juke. You know, like if you play Madden, you put the right stick back and they do the stutter step and then go forward. Like he did that shit. He did it and it was awesome. The cornerback fell. Like it's all, I'm just telling you, everyone right now in 2024, it's all going to start to click. He had 2 touchdowns in this last playoff game, and that has made what I like to call the false buy or false sell window available. Owners now that had Jamison Williams are looking at this 2 touchdown playoff game and saying, now I can sell him. Now I can get decent return because people are excited about him. But I think that's selling too soon. And I think that that's owners desperately looking for an exit ramp that doesn't need to exist. Here's the deal. He's still a first-round pick from Alabama. He still has sub 4.4 speed. He's still not even 23, and he has a perfect, and I mean perfect, role in the Lions offense. No one on that team can do what he does. I understand there's target competition, but the ceiling will still always be there. The athleticism will still always be there. And now we're going into year 3, which is really year 2, and he's going to explode.
We did this before, though, Jason. You remember we did this song and dance with DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
You going to do it again with J-Mo?
Yep.
I hate this skill set. I hate these boom bust guys that don't show they could do it. And then
he can do it. He just had 2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship.
Then go. So you were the guy giving up 2 firsts for Gabe Davis after he went for 2 racks and 4 tutties.
No, I was the guy that traded Gabe Davis after that game for Tom Brady in a Superflex league, which was also not a good trade. But I was selling.
Fair enough. So we're both kind of targeting the same type of buy. We both have certain buys. It's the downfield, the speedy, the guys that can make things happen deep. You went the young route, unproven, I would say. I'm going the vet route. Dusty, you may say, but I'm buying Marquise Brown because I think when you look at where he is and what his value is, you look at keep, trade, cut, which is at least an indication of the marketplace in Dynasty. It's not perfect, but at least some sort of reference. He's listed around guys like Khalil Shakur and Quentin Johnston. Guys that's like, all right, you can paint me a picture that they have a little bit of nice 2024s, but I want to paint a better one. And that's Marquise Brown coming off his worst season. And I know that's counterintuitive to what we like. We like good players, but that's going to lead him to not be a sought-after free agent that gets a big, big, big contract, which brings in play the better offenses.
Right.
And so I do think the stars are aligning for Hollywood to have one of two things happen over the next, from now to the regular season. Either you have him on your roster and he becomes a good flex play on a good offense, much like Brandon Cooks was, or at least you could use him in a pinch for Dallas. In the shootout games, you like the Brandon Cooks. He had some massive spike weeks. And the opportunity cost is so low for Hollywood Brown right now, given his age, which is still, 26 years old. I'm trying to jump into the driver's seat here and add some shares of Marquise Brown. But in terms of a meta approach, to kind of pull it back a little bit, kind of see big picture. Hollywood Brown falls under an umbrella of players that I am looking to buy into right now for cheap. These are lottery tickets. These are just trying to hit a scratcher, because if there is a value spike with this in the free agency, you could sell if you'd like, and get a nice little ROI for your troubles. So anyone that could potentially be on the Kansas City Chiefs as a wide receiver, a vet wide receiver, I'll throw a little pick here. D-Hop, I'll throw a little something to get a D-Hop. I'll throw a little something to get a Hollywood Brown that he could potentially be. I'll throw a little something there, because there's going to be such a void at this position. They are going to heavily invest in wide receiver, whether it be through the draft, through free agency, or both. There's no way with a 3P on the line they're going to go into 2024 with Rashee Rice and Justin Watson and MVS and Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. Rashee Rice, check. You found something there. He's a good player, tough player, exactly what they're looking for. But there are now 3 other positions, multiple options in terms of the roles that they could play in this offense, that I want to try to attach myself to some players that could get that bump. We've seen it over and over. And I think Rashee Rice, because what happened was Sky Moore had kind of got everyone being like, you don't just get everyone. Everyone that just goes to the Chiefs isn't good. Yeah. So it kind of soured, which led to an opportunity for Rashee. Rashee was a value even after the draft. He was a value in the season to acquire. And now that he's kind of reaffirmed that, you want to be a part of this offense, you could be young, you could be successful in this offense. You don't have to be one of the vets. That's going to help there. So I want to attach players. And right now, I think the perfect opportunity to add a player that could go to the Chiefs and get a value bump is Hollywood Brown.
I love that one. And I will even say, there's still a world, I think, that he returns to the Cardinals. I mean, we remember that Kyler Murray literally specifically asked for Hollywood Brown to come to Arizona because they played together. So I still think that, they're committed to Kyler Murray. And even if he stays there, that's an excellent offense to still be a part of. So I do think Marquise Brown is a great buy right now. It was just a bad year because of health, but we've seen success from him, even on the Ravens when they didn't pass the ball a lot, still very explosive, scoring touchdowns, great wide receiver. Really, you don't earn the nickname Hollywood if you're not good at football.
It's good. It's good. Hey, cousin of Antonio Brown, so maybe he has a little cuckoo in him.
Antonio Brown was a good wide receiver.
Got his rookie card right here. It's my guy.
Nice.
So now let's move on to the last position here. So we talked about tight ends. We talked about quarterbacks. We just hit the wide receivers that we're buying. Now, Jason, what running back here? Because this is the position that's a bit tricky, right? It's first of all, let me just ask you as a whole, what's your thoughts on acquiring running backs this far away from kickoff?
It's probably the toughest thing to do in Dynasty. This is the time of year where I have all my running backs on the block. In the Trade Gods League, I'm trading Jahmyr Gibbs. I just don't care. I would rather try to get any value out of running back while I can. That being said, if you want to win in this damn sport, I'm going to call it a sport, you've got to be willing to crash and burn at the running back position. You've got to take some risks because that is where the real value is found. And you've got to get lucky to another degree. You've got to hit on the right backup running back that becomes something. And so many things come into play here that you've really just got to keep scraping the barrel until you're right. And so I've got 2 choices for you here at running back. I'm going to start with the one that's completely gut feel, and that's Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb right now is coming off an ACL tear that looked terrible. Lots of people completely wrote him off immediately and said that his career was over. But luckily, it came out that the injury was not that serious. He had both of his surgeries were successful, and he's expected to be full go by the time the season rolls around. Now, he's down at RB 30 right now, which is just super cheap. You could probably get him for an early third right now, and I think that that's probably worth the price. We saw Adrian Peterson win the MVP the year after tearing his ACL. So it's not unprecedented to play well at the running back position post-injury, especially a strong, powerful running back like a Nick Chubb, like an Adrian Peterson. So I think that's a player I'm willing to crash and burn for, because the second that we start hearing positive Nick Chubb news is the second Jerome Ford becomes available. And then you could sneakily get Nick Chubb right now while he's cheap, and then go get his handcuff later in the offseason when he becomes cheap. And then you have yourself to the Browns offense that runs the ball a ton, two very talented running backs that both have shown fantasy football value. So the Browns backfield in general is one you've just got to take a two-layered approach, get Nick Chubb now, and get Jerome Ford closer to the season.
Giving them homework, Jason. I love it. Giving the viewers homework, baby.
Yep. Right? Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? You know,
nice.
It's Train God Season 3, Episode 1.
My wife's a teacher, so I do appreciate and understand why you got to give the people that are trying to learn a thing or two about a thing or two some homework. So I love it.
Definitely. So, get Chubb now, wait to get Jerome Ford. But if that's not your cup of tea, start getting some third-round rookie picks, start getting some fourth-round rookie picks, because I just got back from the Senior Bowl, and the running backs there were all incredible and are all going to hold some equity next year on our fantasy football rosters, whether it be as a high-value handcuff or an actual starter. We all know Marshawn Lloyd was a clear standout. I think that he's going to sneak into the second round of rookie drafts, but still some other running backs that were fantastic, just to name a few, literally just to name a few, because I'm telling you, every running back there I think will be someone. But Dajan Edwards out of UGA was good. Michael Wiley out of Arizona was good. Dylan Laub was good. Kimani Vidal was good. Rasheen Ali was good before he got injured. The list really does go on and on when you talk about these Senior Bowl running backs, and they're going to be cheap to acquire, and they're going to be valuable. So I really want to start getting my third, fourth round rookie picks if I need running back, because I think you're going to get able to accrue some good ones late in your rookie drafts.
So I really don't have any differing takes in you. I just have maybe we're gonna put the puzzle together, coming from a few different corners. You tackled a couple of things, and I'm just gonna add a couple of things before I dive into my philosophy. Going into what running backs to buy and who to buy, things like that. But yes, I 1000% agree. Seconds and thirds are what you're acquiring. We know this. There's a finite amount of playing time.
Right.
In a given season for a given team at a given position. So not all the running backs in this class are going to be something. But there are tickets. You want to buy these lottery tickets, get in on the ground level, and just backload all of your drafts that you can with these running backs, because these guys have value spikes that you can boom, boom, sell off, or use in your lineup. So yes, I am acquiring. It's been my motivation behind a lot of my movement in Dynasty right now has been acquiring thirds and seconds. And just, I want to grab a bunch of these running backs, because I do know a bunch of them will go undrafted. A few of them will be late round picks. Some will go to bad roles, bad opportunities in the NFL level. And we just will get a Kendre Miller who just doesn't do anything. But you want the tickets, because for every Kendre Miller, there are opportunities that pop up. Players like, did anyone think that DeMarcado would be fantasy relevant in a given week? You know what I mean? So, these type of players, I'm with you on that. My overall philosophy in terms of acquiring running backs this early is I am not aggressively attacking the running back market this far out.
So would you say,
no, go ahead.
There's a running back you want, your ninja move, right? Like, would you go try to get a wide receiver and then try to work in the running back? Like, you're saying you just wouldn't approach for the running back straight up?
The Django method. That's the Django method.
The Django method. That's what it is.
Instead of approaching the team builder for a player that you'd like to trade for, maybe setting off an alarm, you look for a bigger, more obvious target and then get that person involved. That's the Django method. Yes, that's absolutely what I'm trying to do now. And I'm also I will buy an opportunity. If someone puts Jahmyr Gibbs on the block and I can get to a spot where I feel like if he gets hurt, I'm not screwed. I'm not mortgaging all my assets. I'll do it. I will do
Yeah.
it, but it has to come in an opportunity, and that's hard to find, especially when we don't have truth. We don't have any type of situations. But this is speaking of situations, this is also where we have opportunity to grab players that have been consistent performers for a lot cheaper than if they're in week 5 and producing like they have in their career. Because what happens now is the market, which is just us players, can have these narratives that become so concrete, so real, but they're not real. That's just one side of the coin. It's just one opinion. It's just, even if it makes sense, it doesn't have to play out. So the guys that I am targeting, because I do believe could get a narrative discount, let's call it, and something I would put in the Django move if I could, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has been, his value is going down. He's still only 25. Will he go back to the Raiders? Probably not. But a contract could, if he gets a Miles Sanders-esque contract, even though that's a bad example because he was probably the bust of the year. But we're talking about just how we'll feel in the offseason. That's an opportunity to sell if that gives him enough bump. Or you just have a running back on a team that's probably going to get at least the first crack at it, because Miles Sanders did get the first crack at it the first few weeks. He had multiple double-digit games in the first month. It just became more and more apparent he wasn't the guy. And speaking of who became the guy, is another a player that I'm trying to I'm trying to acquire is Chuba Hubbard. Hubbard looked pretty solid for this Panthers team. And what I think Dave Canales has shown throughout his year tender, or I should say his tender over a year at with the Bucs, is that if you can catch the football and you'll stay on the field. Yeah. And Chuba's shown that. And they might not want to invest heavily in a running back when they don't even have a first-round pick. So maybe they use a 5th. But that's not enough to make sure that Hubbard's done. I think Chuba Hubbard could find his way into a meaningful role. So if I can buy him for a 4th, if I could throw him in a deal, I'm doing that. And the last guy that I'm trying to be pretty sneaky about is Jalen Warren. The market on Jalen Warren's down because now all of a sudden Arthur Smith is going to turn Najee Harris into Derrick Henry. Yeah. Because they are similar styles, big guys, tough players from Alabama. But what if he turns Jalen Warren into his primary back? A guy who's been uber efficient and could be a legit running back 1 or 2 in the NFL, given what he's shown. What if his preference is more Jalen Warren? And you can get him at a discount. Get him for free. Yeah. So those guys, those guys, and then other running backs, yes. If I can get in at the right price and I feel comfortable, I will. I'm not afraid to acquire running backs, but I am not putting all my eggs in a running back basket this far away from kickoff. So that's kind of how I feel. Anything you want to add on the running back position, Jason, or anything at all throughout any of the trade targets or anything? Any Jerry Springer last thoughts you got for our group?
I just want to remind everyone listening. Don't be afraid to lose trades. And also, just be cordial in your negotiations.
Always be cordial.
Be transparent. You'll get these trades done. And be patient above all else. Like, it could take weeks to get these negotiations done. We've got lives going on outside of these fantasy football leagues. So, if you're trying to make your trade, don't give up. And don't be afraid to lose it. You'll probably end up winning it as the season goes on and on. Don't be afraid to pay up for the players you want.
The only thing I'm going to add to that, because I really love that sentiment in terms of the overall, how you should go about it and why you should go about it, is also when you're building your narratives of why you like this player, consider the other side of the coin. Consider the other side of the mountain where I know blah, blah, blah is going to happen. Well, maybe approach with a little bit more of what if that isn't what happens, because we can get so sure in our own narratives now, but boy, oh boy, we know that when the chaos starts, throw in a blender, it's all wrapped up, it's all crazy. So always temper, always think about what could not or what else could happen in a given situation before you over purchase. You throw too many eggs in that type of narrative basket. So Jason, that's the episode. Season 3, episode 1. Let the people know where they can find you and everything else you're working on.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JFootballWine, and then you can tune into my morning show on the Player Profiler Network Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Wake a take. go watch that as well. And then, of course, follow Player Profiler on all our social media platforms. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got TikTok. It's everywhere. Go follow us. We could use your support on all the platforms. Thanks.
Dynasty gamers, you are not in the offseason. You are in the in-season. This is where the grind starts. I'm Matty Kiwoom. You can find me on X at Matty Kiwoom, but the shows are back. Trade Gods is back. The game plan is coming back. Futurecast and Blue Chips coming back. And also, every Tuesday, you can find The Hurdle with me and Cody Carpentier. We will be on this network. Player Profile right now, the network of shows, the hosts, everything that's going on. It's insane. You want to this is where you can tune in and get better at Dynasty. There's so many opportunities, so many great talents here at Player Profile. So tune into that. And if you like what you see when you tune in on Tuesdays to The Hurdle, head over to the Fantasy Football Executives YouTube channel. That's where Cody and I put out all the videos, and patreon.com/executives. We'll get into it, Jason. Episode 1, it feels great. Everyone tune in. Thanks a lot, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All-In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.